Hi guys, Andy here. Welcome back to another installment for Antlers, Colorado. Feeling better, and you just heard the fucking dryer go off. I had to re-upload this. A friend pointed out to me my audio was off, and I'm lazy. I don't separate my audio files. I just record all in one video, and that's a really bad habit. I can't wait to get my computer set up so I can actually improve on that because I'd like to have my microphone set up away from the video file. Now, in case something gets corrupted, I can still have another piece. But other than that, I'm going to jump right into the story. This one is called A Pound of Flesh. And yes, I've already done it, so. It was still early, barely dawn, when the guards came for you at your estate. You had just woken up, but they gave you time to get ready, to bathe, to pick out what you were going to wear, and put your makeup on. They knew better than to rush you. You knew why they were there before they said anything, and no one was going to make you look like a fool in front of the council. It didn't even cross your mind to try and slip out of a window, to have a servant distract the guards while you ran away. There's nowhere you could have run where they wouldn't have found you eventually, and the life of a fugitive is too unglamorous. State your name for the record, please, Paimon says flatly, bringing you back to attention. You roll your eyes. Crossell, Duke of Hal, 49th demon captured by the prophet Solomon. Do you know why you are here, Crossell? I have an inkling. You're being charged with treason and conspiracy to commit regicide, Paimon says, after a moment where you can see him desperately wrestling with the urge to snap at you. How do you plead? Your smile falters a little. You were expecting to be accused of treason. You've weaseled your way out of that before, little more than a slap on the wrist, but there's no way anyone on the council could have known about what you and Kezi were planning. Not guilty, you say, the words sour in your mouth. The regicide charge is true, of course. You and your head servant Kezi have been making plans to assassinate Samuel, Satan, Prince of Lies, King of Hell, what have you. Whatever preferred name you have for the devil, whatever. For roughly a year now. Samuel doesn't involve himself in the politics of hell whatsoever these days, which means he's a figurehead leader at best, and the demon nobles are allowed to do whatever they like. The lower classes, Kezi included, aren't fond of that arrangement in the slightest. They would much rather have someone like you on the throne, someone who actually knows what's best for them. Kezi is more than your servant, of course, but that's how you've taken referring to him among the other nobles. It's bad form for someone from your Cassie's class, little more than an insect, usually born into servitude, to become the consort to someone from the upper crust like yourself. But he is, covertly, your consort and only confidant. You feel more comfortable talking to him than you ever have with anyone of your social class. Maybe because you don't have to hold your tongue and count your feelings on social issues in flowery language. Cassie understands you like no one else you've met before. Your smile. Oh wait, that's it. Not guilty, you say. Right, that's where we are. Are you sure? Hyman says. All I picture is that John Cena thing now. His voice more of a growl now. That is how you wish to plead. You reinforce your smile. Yes. Can we get on with it? Casio asks boredly, twirling a lock of hair around their finger. Paimon turns his glare in the direction, but they just smile at him and shrug a little. Paimon sighs. Fine. The council. May I ask what proof you have against me? You interject. Be quiet, Crosell, Paimon says, and he actually does snap this time. The other demons around the table look surprised. Well, everyone except for Mephistopheles, who looks just amused. If I wanted this to be a circus or a spectacle, we would have a public trial. You did wonder if this was going to be public or not. The council has a separate larger courtroom where lower class demons are allowed to attend and watch judgment being passed down. It's a good showing of transparency from the ruling class, but you're glad you don't have to put up with being hooted and jeered at by a crowd. Moving on, Paimon says, looking to the door out to the left of the council's table. The council calls its witness to the stand. A cold wave of realization washes over you as the door swings open. You try to say something witty, something flighty and dismissive of this whole disaster, but your breath sits sharply in your throat the longer you stare at the open door. At Kazi standing there. Oh shit, we've been betrayed. He can't look at you. His eyes keep darting toward where you stand, then sheepishly sliding away. Good, he doesn't deserve to look at you anymore. You keep your chin up and look back at the council. You won't let them get under your skin. Tell me, Kezi, you say, what did they offer you in exchange for selling me out? Kezi starts to say something, but Citri smoothly intercepts the question, still smiling at you. It's not really your place to ask that, is it, Crocel? Liar, you hissed. You try to lunge forward at the table, but the guard standing next to you grabs your arm and yanks you backwards. He's my head servant, you fucking language, Abyss warns. I'll use whatever language I want. You spit at him. He raises his eyebrows in bemusement, but it doesn't bother to retort. You think it's funny to turn my own staff against me? For all you know, he could be lying. I'm sure he'd gladly sell me out for whatever grand offer you made him. You look back at Kezi, your lips twitching up into a grin. What was it, A seat on the council? A position in Samuel's palace? Your own mansion? Kezi mumbles something you can't quite catch. He's standing at the end of the table now, next to Abyss, who reaches out to touch his arm reassuringly. Kezi flinches away from Abyss's fingers, his face darkening a little. Another chill runs through you. Did you torture him? You ask Paimon. He smiles at you, and you can almost hear the blood boiling inside your head. Of course not, he says. Unfortunately, Cassiel sighs. We didn't have to. He told us everything he knew as soon as we offered him your title and estate. You aren't expecting your ladies to give out from under you, but they do. Oop, 1 second, guys. Okay, sorry about that, guys. Phone call, had to do some stuff. It's humiliating, kneeling on the floor in front of the council. We can't quite focus on how humiliated you are. You can't quite focus on anything. You bite back a scream so hard that you taste blood. The world feels like it's spinning too fast around you, your ears ringing, your tongue heavy in your mouth. The guard next to you grabs your arm and tugs you to your feet. But you wrench away from him, and this time the scream comes out of your lungs like it wants to. Don't touch me! The guard looks afraid and steps away from you, his hand still grasping outwards. You swing around to look at Kezi. Your hair is coming loose, falling in your face, but you can't fix it with your hands chained. You must look like a mess. Yeah, that's my fucking priorities. My fucking hair looking a mess. I'm looking a mess. Well, that would be a main priority for me. You gave me up for so little, you ask him. He nods. His gaze slides away from you again. Enough, Paimon says. Witness, is it true that you have been an employee of the Demon Crocel for 6 years now? Yes, Kezi says. You see his throat tighten and release in a swallow. Wouldn't they begin a romantic relationship with you? Is this relevant? Nabirius asks, looking up abruptly from his hands. I'd rather we not drag this out into a whole classism discussion. Examining the ethics of master-servant relationships would certainly lead to several cases of the pot calling the kettle black, Abyss adds, their golden eyes glittering mischievously against their black sclera. Paimon sighs. Fine. Witness, when did Crocel first approach you to discuss treasonous ideals? Several years ago, Kezi says. You can see him getting more confident in his betrayal by the second. And it's like a corkscrew being twisted into your gut. And what if they first mentioned the possibility of assassinating Samuel? Just this past year, Kezi smiles, actually smiles, and you feel like you're going to be sick. Crocel told me they wanted to take Samuel's place as a ruler of hell. They coerced me into helping. How so? They told me I would be put out on the streets if I didn't. I did nothing of the sort, you say, taking another step toward the council's table. He's lying. This is a farce. Mephistopheles leans over the table to grin at you. Farciso or not, we have all the physical evidence. We need to pass judgment against you. I was getting to that, Paimon says irately. Witness, is it true that you aided Crocel in kidnapping and murdering the Archangel Ephiel? Yes, Kezi says. You clench your teeth so hard that it hurts. This isn't good. The council usually could care less about angels being slaughtered, but archangels are something different. Killing such a high-ranking angel could cause problems with a shaky at best treaty between heaven and hell. And worse, it could get you a much more severe punishment for this whole business. Why did you murder Iphiel? Paimon asks. For their sword, you say, before Kezi can answer. Might as well dig her own hole with the truth, rather than whatever lies he's cooked up. The flaming sword of an angel is the only thing I could think of that would kill a demon. But surely you couldn't handle the sword yourself, Ariel says softly from the other end of the room. You jump a little. You'd almost forgotten he was there. It would have burned you badly. You grit your teeth again. Yes. That was why they needed me, Kizzy asked. As a lower class demon, I could touch a sword for longer than Crystal could. So you were going to kill Samuel on their behalf, Paimon asked. Yes, Kizzy says, looking straight at you. Crystal intended me to be their weapon. A lump rises in your throat. You wish you had your fan to cover your face with so that no one could see you like this. At least it's not a public trial. You blink away tears, swirling them back inside your eyes, where they can't make messy streaks through your makeup. Is that what you think of me? You ask Kezi. He doesn't answer. Crisella's estate was searched this morning after their arrest, Paimon announces to the rest of the council. He beckons toward the still ajar door Kezi came in through, and the two guards step into the courtroom bent under the weight of something long and thin, that still manages to have a radiant glow through a shroud of heavy black fabric. Ifio's sword was found in their quarters. The guard doesn't uncover the sword. You know from experience that it will temporarily blind most of the demons in this room if they look at it without a protective layer in the way. Why didn't you bring out this evidence before we set about humiliating Crystal? Nabirius asks, his tone carefully neutral. Wouldn't it be less fun that way? Cassio answers his question with one of their own, flashing him a grin. Nabirius frowns at them. I don't think so. Regardless, Paimon says, all of the evidence points to Crystal planning an attempt on her king's life. And, while we've excused them from charges of treason before, regicide is a serious crime, which should have equally serious consequences. But they never actually carried out the attempt, Abyss argues. Your stomach sinks. The fact that the council is talking like this means that they've all but decided that you're going to be punished. The only question now is how they're going to do it. So that's it then, Nabirius asks. We're going to punish them. They admitted that they killed Ifio at least, Citrus says, resting his chin boredly in his hands. That they needed the sword for killing the demon. So yes, I'd say they're planning guilty. Does anyone here disagree? Paimon asks. Not a single hand goes up. Well, good, Mephistopheles claps gleefully. Now we can do the fun part. Paimon gives him a split-second look that can only be a warning before settling back into a more composed expression. The floor is now open to the council for suggestions regarding the punishment of Duke Crocel. I say we dismember them with Ifio's sword, Cassio says, practically beaming. You force yourself not to react. They're probably just testing the water, seeing how brutal of a punishment the other council members think you deserve. I'm not opposed, Paimon says, to your complete and utter surprise. Now hang on, Citri interjects. That seems harsh, doesn't it? If they really had killed Samuel, or tried to, that would be one thing, but just for planning it? We have to set a precedent. Paimon's voice is steely. Regicide has never been attempted in hell, and we have to ensure that no one gets ideas from this. If word gets out that plotting to murder Samuel is met with anything less than death and dismemberment are two very different things, and one happens to be much more painful than the other, Abyss says. Mephistopheles snorts. I assume that was the point. You sneak a glance at Kazi to see if he looks any guiltier than before about selling you up. He just looks bored. Yeah, we're just trying to figure out how to get rid of this guy. Trying to kill Satan, the usual bullshit. What about public execution? Cassio asks. We could do it on market day, make a big deal out of it, have Paimon or someone read a speech about loyalty to the king. We haven't done a public beheading in decades. That's because historically the middle and lower classes never respond well to them, Ariel remarks quietly. Well, it would certainly send a message, Citri says, just maybe not the right message. It might behoove us to take care of this discreetly, Abyss says. I doubt word of Crossel's arrest has gotten out by now, and we can easily think of some way to gloss over Kessie's inheritance of their title and estate. The less we address the idea of regicide and the idea that a demon's gotten away with planning such a thing for at least a year, the better. He pauses for a moment, then continues. I would add too that Paimon's judgment may be impaired in this case, as he and Selma have had a personal friendship for quite some time. Oh, Citri's eyebrows shoot up and he leans toward Abyss. He's practically drooling over the gossip. Typical. I hadn't heard that. That's irrelevant, Paimon snaps. I think, Nibiria says loudly, causing the whole table to go silent, that we are perhaps thinking about this the wrong way. Oh, shit, there we go. That seems very fine, Nibiria says. His voice is quiet again, and he brushes his hair from his face, tucking it behind one ear. There's a good reason we almost never use it to punish someone for a crime. Ending an immortal life is serious, and as we've been discussing, there are very few ways to permanently kill a demon. Paimon Litstoffel, what would you suggest then? We bind Cressel somewhere, Nabir says. Somewhere on Earth, where they can't harm any other demons. We force them to possess something, I don't know. Something harmless, Abyss suggests, and away from any humans. A cave, maybe? Small body of water? Surely you aren't going to consider this, you say, looking around at the other council members. That's just ridiculous. It's Paimon, you said yourself that you have to set an example. You can't just bind me on Earth and spit. Why, Cressel, Mephistopheles purrs. Are you scared? You are, but you don't deign to answer. Someone would have to reseal the binding every 100 years or so to make sure they can't break free, Paimon muses. But it's feasible. I think all of us combined could do the sealing ritual, and then perhaps we'll take turns whenever it comes time to reinforce the bindings. Ariel looks from his records book. And would we ever set them free again? Maybe if they show signs of rehabilitation, Nabir shrugs. And how am I supposed to do that without a physical form, you ask, your voice cloyingly sweet. You're a very clever demon, Cressel. Cassio says, their voice just as honeyed. If you were clever enough to kill an archangel, I have no doubt you'll be clever enough to figure out that little conundrum. Besides, you'll have lots of time to think about it. You fight back the urge to lunge at them and tear their throat out with their teeth. Giving the council more ammunition to use against you doesn't seem like a good idea right now. I should know, Ariel says, that there are no records of a demon being consistently bound to a non-human vessel for more than 50 years. There's no telling how it will affect Crossel's mind or their ability to hold a physical form. Well, it's not meant to be comfortable. It's a punishment. Mephistopheles gives a demure cat-like yawn behind his hand. Can we vote, please? We turn to Kezi. You're really just going to let them do this? Put me on Earth forever? He doesn't answer you. Kezi, please, you try again, swallowing past the lump in your throat, which seems to have grown bigger. I love you. Why are you doing this? Love? Kezi's lips curls. Is that what you call it? Is love refusing to acknowledge me as your equal because you are afraid of how it might affect your social standing? Is love threatening me when I had doubts about your plan to rule hell? You were the only one I could talk to. Your words come out as a shriek, your voice rising and cracking. The only one who understood me. Kezi draws himself up to his full height, taller than you, and sneers openly. You don't know the difference between a real friend and a servant who's been trained to agree with his masters all his life. That's sad, Cressel. Can we vote? Mephistopheles asks again, louder this time. We may as well, Paimon says. All in favor of binding Cressel on Earth to atone for their treason and attempted regicide. Every single hand goes up. You fix their faces in your mind as you're dragged out of the courtroom. Ariel, Mephistopheles, Cassio, Paimon, Citrine, Nabiris, Abyss, and Kazi. The aching inside of you, the stabbing pain of revenge not yet taken, stays, even when you lose your physical form, even when you start to forget what you were before you were awake. Interesting. Your name. How you spoke. What you looked like. The only thing you remember is the people who betrayed you, and how thirsty you are for their blood. The end. Neat. So we became the fucking lake that killed people. Well, the one that convinced what's his face? I can't think of his name. I feel so bad. The one that convinced that band hipster dude to kill his bandmates and try to feed him to the lake. But yeah, that is it for this episode of Pound of Flesh, Antlers, Colorado, intermission number whatever. As always, if you wanna explore more, I know I didn't click on every hyperlink, but as always, you can go play the game yourself. Links are in the description, as well as a link to read the whole series, Antlers, Colorado by Marnie. But yeah, if you enjoyed this video, please hit a like button or something. I don't fucking know. I'm losing my voice now. I've been talking all day. If you enjoyed this video, please consider supporting me on Patreon. There are a few cool rewards, like I don't remember what they are right now. Don't bother me with that asking. I'll have to go sort out Patreon again pretty soon. But I'll leave this here for y'all right now. Bye for now, guys. Bye for now.